Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming bigger things, wanna leave my old life behind. Not a dresser, not a home. Fit the box, fit the mold, have to see it for you. Take a number, I was like, hey, before the
Hello and welcome to the Pepsi Center for Mile High Sports. I am Matt Smith and this is Anilo Piro. We are back, but the Nuggets, they're not. They fall tonight 112 to 104. They take their third loss at home this season, and their overall record now just one game over 500, 16-15. But on a really bad note, Anilo, they are 1-5 against their own division.
Absolutely. I mean, I kind of put this on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at @AProSports for
shout out
the past couple of years. That the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves is the next big rivalry in the NBA. Two teams that are kind of on a similar path in terms of building their teams up and building their franchises. So, I mean, listen, the Nuggets have to figure out a way to win these divisional games, whether it be against the Timberwolves or the Portland Trailblazers, who they'll pay a visit to now here on Friday night. But nonetheless, a game that the Nuggets should have won tonight. They led for a majority of this one, but Jimmy Butler comes up clutch late in this one, and Jokic cannot control himself with a career-high 10 turnovers now. So
yeah,
not looking good for the Nuggets in this one.
Turnovers, like he mentioned, the story, Jokic with 10 of them, Nuggets with 22 as a team, and they allow an opponent, once again, 20-plus points off of their own turnovers. And Michael Malone, after this game, not happy whatsoever, said that if we want to start winning games, we have to learn how to value the basketball. When you spot an opponent 20 points a night, you're in a hole automatically, and the Nuggets have put together some performances that they should have been wins, like you said, but they can't take care of the basketball, and you can't get stops down the stretch. You're not going to win games against good teams, especially in this Western Conference.
Absolutely. I mean, you obviously have to tip your cap to Jimmy Butler and Karl-Anthony
It's
Towns.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, exactly. They got theirs to a certain extent, but I mean, there was a couple cupcake layups and some wide open shots that the Nuggets just gave up, quite frankly. And I think what this all kind of encompasses to is the guy that did not start for them tonight at shooting guard, and that's Gary Harris. I think is a guy that they really, really missed tonight. His leadership, I know he's more of a lead by example kind of guy, but he instills that winning and pressure kind of culture on the court late in games. So I think they really lost their floor general tonight to a certain extent, and their perimeter defense was just god-awful. I mean, it was just horrible.
Yeah, no Gary Harris, no Emmanuel Mudiay, of course, no Paul Millsap. This is a team now, Nikola Jokic starting again tonight for the first time since he's been back from injury. Head coach Mike Malone went with Jokic and Plumlee in that starting lineup, and the starting lineup seemed to do all right tonight. Mason Plumlee had himself a nice game, I think 12 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Jokic, 22 points, 6 rebounds, those 10 turnovers.
Yeah.
The front court, I didn't think that was really the issue tonight. Gary Harris's absence, I thought, perimeter defense, especially late in the game, they could not stop Jimmy Butler down the stretch. And I think that's Jimmy Butler tonight really exposes, in my opinion, one of the biggest issues that the Nuggets are missing right now, and that's a go-to guy without Paul Millsap. And we saw a little taste of that early in the season before Paul got hurt. But now, the Nuggets are really struggling, I think, on a night-to-night basis of knowing who they can count on. And, without Gary Harris, who seemingly is their most consistent player, the Nuggets are struggling right now, Anilo.
Absolutely, and Will Barton's kind of been a guy here recently that's kind of stepped up as that, give me the ball late in games kind of guy. He just was awful tonight.
Yeah, he hasn't been good his last four. He's only averaging, I think, 8.7 in his last 4 games.
His shots aren't going in. His defense is atrocious. He's like a step behind almost, slow-footed. So, I mean, they really need Will Barton to step up. But, I mean, I think the better question is, this has kind of been a revolving door in terms of guys that have been stepping up for this team. We saw Millsap and Jokic go down. We saw Trey Lyles kind of step up in light of that, and other guys as well. Who's going to be the next guy in light of Gary Harris being down tonight like he was to step up? We didn't see that. We didn't see who that was going to be tonight, but the Nuggets have to figure out a way to unify themselves as a team so they can figure out ways to win games like this when they don't necessarily have their best players.
Listen, and a lot of guys are getting that opportunity to step up. Torrey Craig in a starting role certainly has that opportunity. Malik Beasley's getting bench minutes. Malone only used an 8-man rotation tonight, and I want to bring up something that you began to allude to here. Trey Lyles tonight with 15 points has been outstanding. In his last, I think, 6 games, he's averaged 17 points a game, shooting 62% from the field and 57% from 3. Now, Anilo, Kenneth Faried has not played in 3 of the last 5 games. Coaches DNPs. I think we may have seen the last of Kenneth Faried in any sort of rotation, barring injury, for the Denver Nuggets. Because, listen, if you're going to take Trey Lyles and Kenneth Faried and put them neck and neck, well, Trey Lyles is shooting like 50% from three right now, and both are somewhat average defenders, right? So clearly Trey Lyles stepping up and taking, control and seizing the opportunity.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this was a guy that I spoke to a couple times before the year started. He was super excited about, new
Definitely
team, this is a new kind of environment for me. And you got to give your credit to him because, he wasn't playing early on, and he could have easily kind of viewed this as Utah 2.0. When he was with members of the Jazz last year, he wasn't playing, which is why they ended up trading him. Obviously, the Nuggets have a logjam at forward, which resulted in him not playing early on, and he's got they've freed up some minutes for him now with both Nikola Jokic and Paul Millsap being out in recent time. He's really taken advantage of it. But I think, going back to that point that you made about Kenneth Faried and him not playing anymore, the Nuggets started Mason Plumlee and Nikola Jokic tonight, and Kenneth Faried did not see the court. So to me, that's as telling as anything.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer the Nuggets are going to wait for Kenneth to be a consistent producer on this team. I mean, we've thought this before, Nilo, but at the same time, and really, it's the least of their concerns at the moment in time. You got to find a way to get stops. Now let's kind of transition this to a good note here, because that's a lot of bad. Jamal Murray, 30 points. He had 13 in the fourth quarter, and to me, he has been the brightest spot of this first few months of the season, in my opinion.
And here's the thing, Murray has really kind of increased his play since Millsap and Jokic went down. Obviously, Jokic is back now, but you can almost make the argument that by playing with Millsap and Jokic in the same lineup as Murray is almost kind of stunting him as a player. I think taking Millsap and Jokic out of that equation for a little bit allowed Murray to grow into his own and play at a high level.
Listen, when your big dogs go down, you got to find a way to step up and compete. And Murray has done an outstanding job. He is showing right now in the last few months why this Nuggets front office kept him this offseason. And
real quick, just to say, you're seeing the progression. We always talk about Emmanuel Mudiay and, can he still be this guy that the Nuggets drafted him to be? That door is pretty much closed. Murray, you're seeing the progression from year 1 to year 2, and it's exponential. He's increasing game by game. So all the signs are certainly there that Murray is going to be the real deal for this Nuggets team.
Listen, the Nuggets, things don't get much easier to close out 2017 either. They now have 2 straight games, a back-to-back, actually, on Friday and Saturday at Portland and at Golden State. 2 places that they have not had much success.
Both. Portland, man. They got to figure out a way to get that
You would think that Portland is set up there for a pretty good game, being that the Nuggets are shorthanded, have to go in there with some injuries. So we'll see how Denver can bounce back and respond. But head coach Michael Malone not happy. I think the word that I would use to describe this entire Nuggets team post-game was apathetic. Jokic just didn't have answers. He was asked by a reporter what this team can do to turn it around. I think he sat there, without saying a word. So this is a team that does not have the answers to big questions. However, they're 16-15, 1 game above 500. They're 7th in the West right now. They're in the playoffs if the season were to end today. So if they can manage to stay around that 500 number until the All-Star break, I mean, listen, things are going to get better. They're not going to have as many games on the road as they did certainly to end 2017. So if they can get back to this home environment, the comforts of home, and find a way to take care of what you need to at home and win some of these games on the road, they got to find a way to close one out. The Nuggets should be in good shape when hopefully Paul Millsap will return.
Absolutely, and Michael Malone kind of gave an update on Millsap at practice during this week, saying in his mind a best case scenario return for Millsap would be after the All-Star break. So it's all hands on deck for this team up until that
Certainly
point.
Is.
I think you hit it on the head perfectly. Try to tread water and weather the storm as best you can. Try to hover around that 500 mark and make your playoff push in and around the trade deadline. Maybe make a trade for a player, and you get Millsap back, and you could really go all hands on deck.
Nuggets have the Blazers and the Warriors on Friday and Saturday. Then they come home here to the Pepsi Center for a matchup with the Jazz on Tuesday. That is the next Nuggets home game. I am Matt Smith. This is Anilo Piro for Mile High Sports. Thank you as always for tuning in from the Pepsi Center.